Mhm.
All right, we're live. So this is DJ Enigma, Evolving Events NYC. I'm here with Anthony and Agnieszka. We are happy to jump on a call. I haven't spoken to them in quite some time. I mean, here and there I speak to them online. I comment on their stories and stuff like that. But a great story about this couple right here is they have had one of the best weddings that I actually had the pleasure of DJing. It was also
Woo.
one of the first weddings as an entrepreneur that I DJ'd pretty much on my own. I think my MC call, I didn't tell you guys that. My MC called out that morning.
Mm.
Supposedly he was sick or something like that. I had to hire someone else, and he was actually no, he was going to be the DJ. I was going to be the MC, um, and it just ended up not working out. But I was just like, I like these guys a lot. I don't think I need to worry too much. Your playlist was super like to the point. You guys didn't leave anything like left for interpretation. That's one of the biggest things I face in this industry is just a bride will put like something in a gray area and I'll just be like, do you mean this or that? I'm not 100% sure. Um, but then you guys were also the first couple to end your do your last dance as turned down for what? I'll never forget it. Because everybody does a slow dance or something like that, or last dance, and last dance starts off slow and then goes into like high tempo. So um, you guys were awesome. I will never forget that wedding. I'll never forget the venue, Coral House, Baldwin, New York. I love that venue. And you guys had like, I think you had this kind of lighting for your ceremony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I took a picture and I had that on like my wallpaper for a while because it looked so dope. You guys really killed that, and I remember you had that fur.
Yeah.
The shawl.
Yeah, it was a Winter Wonderland wedding. And, you know, we asked for a party and you gave us the party. And that's really all we wanted. We just wanted to dance all night and have fun. And it's really still the funnest event we've been to.
It's the best wedding we've been to.
It's the best
I
wedding.
think I never seen like it's usually apparent when you go to a wedding and you can tell by the two couples. And I've done like over 1,000 at this point. Even before I became like a solo entrepreneur, I was working with other companies and I was doing events with them. They were more low end, and that's how I learned. And I'm grateful for that. Not that I'm better than them at all, but I got a chance to grow and learn and meet a lot of brides and grooms. And you guys, you can instantly tell when you walk into a room that a bride and groom are in love. And I think this is where I kind of saw your path coming without knowing that you guys were going to go into kind of coaching and being able to be mentors to other couples because it was just apparent. There was not, you could not slice through your love with a knife or a box cutter or nothing because it was just so apparent and thick in that room that you could feel it. I wanted to like grab somebody and kiss them because you guys were. You guys, so that's the intro. Obviously, it's a long-winded one, but I wanted to give you guys the due respect because you guys are really one of my favorite couples, and I don't say that jokingly at all. So I like to open these things up two ways. One, if you guys are on Facebook, definitely share. Anybody watching on Facebook, you guys, if you want to share it as well. I'm going to go live on Instagram too. If you can tune into mine, I'll try to add you guys into the video once you guys log on. And then once that happens, we'll go into your own personal intro of what you guys do and who you guys are.
Right.
And anybody watching, if you take some time, comment and tell us where you're watching from. So that way I can show you guys some love. Hey, Nick, what's up, man? So we're going live. We're going live with Agnieszka and Anthony, one of my couples from 5 years ago, almost 5 years. I'm just adding them to the video right now on Instagram. Thank you for those watching on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Once they log in, I'll add them to the video and we can get started.
Evolving Events.
Do my DJ Enigma. I'm gonna do DJ Enigma. Hey, Javon, what's up, bro? Thanks for tuning in. Javon is actually somebody I'm working really closely with. He's gonna be working with me as a DJ very soon.
Okay.
Nice.
Looking forward to working with him. So we'll just once we get on Instagram, we'll be good. And thank you guys. So usually like I said, I like to turn these into conversation only. It's not too formal. I won't have a notepad or anything like that. I do have questions that are coming in off the top of my head. So I definitely want to ask those when I get a chance.
All right, we're rocking.
Okay.
All right, cool. So let me add you. There we go.
All right.
I think you have to accept it. Oh, there we go. So on mine, I think you guys are upside down. They're sideways. There you go. Let me lower my volume on this. That's me. This is new to me. This is new to me. All right.
I'll just hold it.
All right.
Do you guys have your volume up on your phone?
It's down.
All right. So let me lower this one then. How's that? You guys say something for me?
Hey, can you hear us?
Great.
Yeah, it's a little echoey. Oh, this Instagram stuff. I'm that old man now, guys. I'm that old man who says,
What?
I'm on the Facebook.
It used to be called the Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I saw the movie. That's where I learned it from, actually. All right. So we're officially going to start. I'm here with Anthony and Agnieszka. They are founders of A Fuller Life. I started an intro and told you guys about them. I won't go through it again, but they are a couple that I really, really love. I love working with them, and I keep them as friends. Obviously, I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and love watching their journey. They became motivational, a motivational couple to other couples, and they have a business that I would like them to share with you guys. And we're gonna go through everything all the questions that I have and what their business is about. But I'll give it to you guys, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Like if someone were to approach you in the street, what would you tell them about who you are and what you do?
Well, I think first and foremost, we are founders of Fuller Life, and Fuller is actually our last name. We're both A and A, which is why it's A Fuller Life. That could be kind of corny, but we actually think it's very, it cracks us up.
We like it.
And really, our work is to teach people to live a fuller life and really inspire them to live a fuller life. We actually work in the relationship world. So part of what we do is put on workshops and also do individual coaching as part of our business. But aside from our business, I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I actually work with the criminal court. I actually work in bail reform, and that's what I do 9 to 5. And when I'm not doing that, we're strategizing and we are building and we're creating new curriculum and really just inviting people to come along on the ride of what a full life is, to be a part of our journey, but also to create a journey for themselves.
Awesome.
I concur. Definitely, we're supporting people in living full on and full out. Right? People have the tendency to think that life is just this. It can be limited by certain things in life or certain circumstances, but we're really opening people's mind to a different perspective of what's possible. Like, what's your own personal redemptive potential? Where can you go, right? And then we've kind of, it's a spiritual journey, and then we've also kind of related it to relationships and allowing people to have a healthy perspective of themselves first before they even get into relationships with other people, so that they're at 100%, period, in society. So yeah, basically supporting people and living that fuller life, more than just a slogan, more than just like a hashtag, but really a lifestyle and a commitment and a mindset. No worries.
But that's good to hear. I actually went to your guys' website earlier today. I learned quite a few things that I didn't expect to learn right away on your website. So your website is very effective, I would say, because these are things I didn't have an opportunity to learn from you off the bat when I first met you guys. I think I have an idea for this echo thing. Sorry about that.
No worries.
The Instagram thing is like.
What's up, IG?
Yeah, thank you for joining, everyone. We're excited to share ourselves with you.
Definitely ready for your questions.
Yeah.
I can't hear you on the All right, that might be good.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, all right. We're back.
All right, perfect. All right, so that's my solution. I had that standing part. So you guys are fairly new. You guys, what? You started in like 2017, I want to say. No, 2000.
The business itself?
The business, yeah.
The business itself, we began in January of 2017.
17. All right,
And really, we were trying to figure out how we're going to support people, right? Because we knew that we wanted to support people. It was really like, all right, well, in what lane, in what capacity? What's our calling? What are our gifts, talents, and skills? And how do we kind of mesh that together, working together, and trying to figure out the lane? And so going through a spiritual journey, supporting people in their own spiritual journey, and then landing on relationships because of our past experiences and literally what we're cultivating together as a family unit, as husband and wife.
Yeah, and I think another thing to really mention is when we first got married, we went to a marriage retreat, and it's something that we did back to back. And one of the things that we experienced at the time is a lot of couples in our life were getting divorced after being married for a year or a little bit more. And we felt like, what if we can create some tools that will really support people on their journey so that they could work on their union versus getting married, going through that entire process and then calling it quits. That's such a hard experience to have. And so with that, we decided, let's use some of the tools that we learned and the people that we are, our experiences, and let's create something that's tangible that we can actually share with other people.
That's awesome. I think one thing I picked up on when you mentioned that, like, instantly came to my head is the couples whose weddings that DJ to only see them call it quits. It's a disappointment to me, and not that I'm disappointed in them. It's just seeing it happen so quickly, and it's usually like within months to a year of the wedding. And I'm just like, once I sent someone an email or text, and I was like, "Happy anniversary," and they're like, "We're not together anymore." So,
oh no.
It's just something that I think is because there's such a high rate in divorces these days. It's important to have people like you around who are willing to help this couple work on it and fight for their love. The reason that they decided to get married in the first place. And I think now more than ever with COVID, and we're going to get to that, it's just putting added strain on these relationships. So I was definitely curious on picking you guys' brain as to like, how to like combat that. How do you get to a point where you're gonna have trials and tribulations, but you put your love above that and decide to trek through it. So before we get to that, I do have someone saying that they have a question.
Okay, early on, let's go.
If you're comfortable putting it to the chat, then go ahead. If not, then message me on Facebook. And your name's already out there, so I will just put it in the comment. And I got you. But while we wait for his question, my first question would be, within the first year of you guys' marriage, like, was it complete honeymoon stage? Did you guys have moments where it was just like rough? I know we all do. But what if you guys are comfortable talking about that? You don't have to say specifics, but like there was a time. And how you guys decided. I think it ultimately led to this business. But like, was it like a time when you guys are talking about? Feel free.
I think from what I remember, and I feel like it just feels like such a long time ago, but I know a lot of people say the first year is the toughest because it's usually the time where you are like working as a unit and learning how to work as a unit. And I think for us, the month before the wedding was one of the toughest months because it was so real that we were getting married. And it was so real that we were going to have to change the way we operated because being married is so different than being engaged than dating. And really, if you want to step into marriage and build a partnership, you have to be on the same page about that. So I feel like our first year was really building that foundation where, we have a friendship and we are building a partnership, and it's not myself versus Anthony. It's really what are we here to create. And I think one of the things that we we are on the same page about is the fact that we're like creating a legacy. So like outside of our marriage and like our partnership, it's like, what's next? You know, what do we get to leave behind? And we were on the same page about that. And I think that really supported us in building. Of course, it's not, and as much as I'm sharing about that, it also wasn't like peaches and cream and we're like, you know, skipping the entire first year. There's still those like hard questions to have once you're really like joining together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of questions you have to like cover once you are married, and that's like finances. Do you guys want kids? How soon do you want kids?
Right.
Are you comfortable if your partner doesn't want kids? How do you move forward if you really want kids? Like, stuff like that are like common questions and common fights that I see after someone gets married. So I'd be curious to know later on when I start asking my questions. Keep those in mind because I'm gonna have questions based on stuff like that. But I want to get to people who have posted their comments. Actually, my wife, Suli.
Hi.
Your business. She wants to know if your business is similar to marriage therapy. If it's not, how does it differ?
It's actually not similar to marriage therapy. As much as I'm a licensed mental health therapist, I'm actually within our business at this moment, I'm not providing therapy because it gets complicated. And so in order to do it responsibly, it's not something that we're doing just yet. What we are doing is providing coaching. So we are providing tools for people who are currently single in relationships and also people who are looking to get married so that way they can have effective relationships but also explore themselves as they're stepping into something bigger.
Yeah, I'll also add that a lot of people think, or they have apprehension about it because they think it is therapy, but it's not therapy based at all. We're not looking at the past. There will be, moments where we kind of say, all right, well, what happened in this scenario at this age? What were you thinking? What was the belief system you had at that age, right? But we're not necessarily spending the majority of our time there. We want to get some information and then we're jumping right into the present and then going into the future. What do you want to create now, given the information that you have based on what we just discovered? So always looking forward and trying to move forward with them in the conversation of their what's next.
So you guys are more, would you say it's like more interactive and more kind of ongoing? So you guys are like having check-ins where it's like, how's it going this week? Like what's the process for people that sign up with you guys?
Well, I'm so glad that you said that because we're actually in the middle of doing one of our online courses. So part of what we offer is a lot of things you can be doing online, so you don't even have to leave your home, which is great, especially at this moment. But really, we offer a curriculum that we then support people through. And sometimes that looks like providing the information, then having our discussion sessions, and even providing individual coaching. But a lot of it is, it's really the information that we have put together through our experience and then tailoring it to individuals if that's something that they choose to do through individual coaching.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I think being able to provide that level of support, not by just one person, but two people, when you guys are a couple, I think that shows that strong balance that people need. Where marriage therapy, you just have that one person, some stranger that you really don't know much about. You guys are like on the front lines and you are exposed and putting your relationship out there as an example for people to follow. I think that's awesome.
I just wanted to.
Sully says she has somebody for you.
Nice. I just wanted to kind of clarify and kind of give some more context to that. So we do one-on-one coaching, and then we also have a master class. So it's a 6-week course is what she was referring to, where we have curriculum for the entire 6 weeks. We have video, we have a workbook that you can do. And then there's also the live discussions and sessions, kind of one-on-one time with us as we kind of go through it and process it.
Got it. Okay. And then we have another question. I just want to keep people interact. His question, Javon, is how do you balance personal time, hobbies with your spouse or partner without them feeling as if you're ignoring them or not paying attention to them?
That's so funny because we actually were discussing that today.
Yeah.
With COVID, we are home together, which is great, but also it's a lot to be with each other the entire time. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
24
yeah,
hours.
and I think for us, we've definitely have gotten to this place where it's like respecting the other space. Sometimes space really allows a person to clear what they're going through and have their own time to process whatever it is that they're experiencing. So even as we're in the same home together, we have our own spaces. Anthony will go and play video games, and I will go watch TV, and we're not interacting for the rest of the evening, but we're okay with that because he's right in the next room if I ever like need something, and vice versa, it's the same. I think balance, in order to balance a relationship, communication is key, so that way the other person knows that really it's personal time, so that way you can give more time to them when you are actually present with them, versus it's taking time away from them and having someone think it's something about them that makes you not want a space. So I think definitely communicating needs, and really sharing. We're all about building partnerships, and I think starting with communication is super important.
And I can kind of build on that. I think recently I heard about a couple who it was kind of through another friend that was kind of fake ranting on social media. I won't say which platform, but really like kind of, I guess it was like throwing shade at other couples who go through this. And I thought it was interesting because I thought it was an interesting topic of conversation. And that's, you really see people's true colors when you live with them, right? So
Right.
people that know that may not have known it as much until COVID hit. And, you're spending 24 hours a day with them. You start noticing habits that you didn't know that that person had, because now you're there to closely monitor and closely see things that you haven't seen before. So just kind of piggybacking on that, I think I've seen, and I think one thing that's worked for me is just honesty and being able to be honest and saying, being able to just go up front and say, hey, I need some time to myself. If that, how does that make you feel? So that they are up on Jump Street right up front with you, saying, I really don't feel comfortable with you being away from me for so long, or hey, you're in my face too much. Let's just go into separate rooms for a little bit and kind of reset. I think that's what work having a 9 to 5 provides for a lot of people. And I've learned that having a side hustle and a 9 to 5 gave me a lot of time away from my wife and family. Whereas now that we're on lockdown, we're just all in the same room for at least 12 hours a day. Um, Luckily, knock on wood, everything's been good for me. I'm not just saying that everything is just what's worked for me is just the honesty and being able to say, hey, I'm just gonna go play video games. If you want, you can go work out, or she'll just say, I'm gonna go work out. Obviously, I'm not the workout guy. She's the workout person, and I'm the video game. That's how I work my mind, I guess. But that's worked for us, just being able to just be honest and upfront about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on COVID, so I guess we can cross that bridge now. Have you had any couples that you had to coach through any COVID issues or COVID related marital issues or relationship issues? Like, how do you approach that in something that's so new and different? When someone comes to you and say, hey, we're having trouble, we're fighting a lot. How do we get out of each other's face and get through this when we don't know when this is going to end?
Yeah. We haven't had that many, but what we had a plethora of are single people saying, well, how can we date during this time? So
Interesting.
To your question, yeah. I'll circle back to your question. Definitely, just kind of what we all kind of mentioned is saying, hey, what's going on here? I kind of need some space. I'll be over here. You can be over here. And really communicating to navigate through that. I don't think I have any like personal kind of things that I can kind of talk to as far as people have brought up. But again, the single people asking about dating during this time. They say, well, we can't be in person. We can't touch. We can't feel. How do I know this is something that's real or can last? No. And I say, well, this is an opportunity for you to actually leave that representative home and be involved in the conversation, whether it's a Zoom date or whatever it is. It's time to get creative. It's time to get fun and really, show the other person who you are and not be timid about it. Right? You actually all the fears are kind of limited. You're at a screen. At any point, I can just close this thing, and I'm not being seen by someone.
Yeah.
So just jump in.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I haven't thought about the dating aspect of it. I know I have a few friends that like once in a blue they'll send a screenshot of like Tinder and be like, why are people like this? It's an interesting time to be in the dating realm, and I missed that whole boat, that whole train. I never got a chance to date online.
Please, date online. Yeah, we've both have never dated online.
So I don't know if I'm grateful or not. Part of me has always wondered like how people do it. When I was really, really young, before all the dating sites, I met people through websites like Skonex, or I don't know if those things still exist. But I actually went and took the trek all the way out to like Queens or all the way out to Yonkers. And I was telling my wife the other day how I got catfished. This girl sent me a picture and she was like, I thought she was amazing looking. I thought she was just my type. And I met her in person and she was just, I don't know if I was just so turned off by her that the image that comes in my head is the wrong image. But I was just like, she had boogers and she was gross. But I don't know how people would deal with it now because, you have all these filters, you have all these ways to make yourself look a lot better. And, while first impressions are important and looks aren't the most important, but, that's the first thing you see. So what do you think? So in a COVID world where you have to jump on a Zoom date, how do you handle that? Like,
yeah, and I think it's an opportunity for depth. Sometimes we're so used to interacting with people superficially, right? Where it's like, let's have a good time. Let's like, go to a bar and let's have some drinks. So we're both super comfortable in interacting with each other. And now, sure, you can do that through Zoom, but it's also an opportunity to dive deep. And for some people, they're ready to do that. And for some people, that's so scary to them. They're so used to like living their life on the surface, and we're in different times now. And so it's really an opportunity to try something new or interact with your world in a new way.
Yeah, that's something that I speak to my friends a lot when it comes to like what they're doing and how they're tolerating. I think a lot of it is based on a lot of dating in 2020 or even 2019 was based around the physical. How far can you go? How can you score? How can you get past first and second base?
Right.
And now that I feel like, in a way, and not to get too biblical or too religious, but I feel like this is God's way of saying, how can you fare in a market where that's not on the table anymore? I know people are getting creative with this OnlyFans situation, and we won't get into that. But people are getting digital with it, and I think it's interesting. I wonder if a lot of good relationship, what they might call COVID babies, are going to come out of this, and I'm definitely interested in seeing where that goes.
I definitely think so. My money's on it.
I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. So, I'm trying to think of another question around COVID, but that was my main thing, is if anyone has ever approached you guys about that. I know that I was concerned about it a little bit. Me and my wife are both very strong-headed people. I'll admit that openly. We've had clashes in the past where we both were just stubborn to death and just would not, neither one of us would give up. And we'd go like days without talking and stuff like that. So like I thought like during COVID it was gonna get like 4 times worse, and thank God like nothing has happened. We haven't had any like crazy fights or anything like that. But I've seen people and they also said like the abuse in relationships has gone up, and physical abuse, mental abuse has gone up, and I think that's an interesting aspect of this whole situation. I don't know if you guys want to touch on that a little bit. I'm just going to plug my computer in. I didn't know it was dying.
Sure.
Yeah. I am someone who works in the criminal justice system, so definitely able to attest to the fact that there's a lot of like intimate partner violence happening in this moment. Would I necessarily say it's more than it was before? I can't speak to that, but there's definitely an opportunity for more conflict if you're already in a relationship where you've had conflict previously. So to now be in a space and be limited and be like financially strained and worried about your health, those things amplify. And I think it's also one of it's a great opportunity to see, do you want to continue to be with your partner if the pandemic is like an ongoing thing? Is this the person to pandemic with? And for some people, they're able to make they have the room to say, you know what, this might not work for me for a longer period of time. And for some people, they need support, because they might find themselves not in a safe environment. So I think this is a time where a lot of people, they're really seeing areas where things might need to change for them, right? And areas where they might actually not be able to handle on their own.
Yeah, I think there's other variables that play as well, especially if you're in a relationship with someone that you have children with, dealing with that and online remote learning and blended learning. So there's a lot of different things that can come into play that can add to the frustration that you might be experiencing. And it might not even be that you're, bumping heads with your significant other because of something that they're doing. It's, probably the situation itself, right? And being at home for so long, and whatever's going on with you mentally or physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? You having to deal with that, and then having to deal with that alongside being a partner to someone else, and then being a parent to kids, and then still having a full-time job or whatever it is that you're doing. There's a great deal of stress that's associated with what's going on right now. And so allowing yourself to have grace is something that can support you throughout this time. So the support system.
And I think, well, I'll try to jump away from the COVID topic a little bit, but just to close out on the COVID topic is, I think there's a lot of area for growth here. I think a lot of people are getting that interaction that they otherwise. And I think when this whole this thing started, one of the things I always used to say to people is I feel blessed that I have the opportunity to spend a lot more time with my wife. Because, as a DJ, I'm out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursdays as well. And I don't really have that time with her sometimes. So this is like, just like my sister said, it's definitely a test of your mental health.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you guys understand, because that's like in your realm and in your wheelhouse, that it's definitely something that people have to consider. So I'll jump away from the COVID topic. I know I wanted to touch base on a few of the any advice that you guys would have about newly married couples. So, like I remember I touched upon saying the finances, the topics of conversation that come up immediately after you get married. While you guys are like on the honeymoon phase and you're like on cloud nine and you guys just got married and everything's all beautiful and hearts floating above your head. But now you have to have the conversation about like finances, and you find out like your partner is in debt. How do you manage that? You find out that your partner doesn't want to have kids. Well, I think these are questions that you should have had before
Mhm.
Right.
getting married, but a lot of people wait. They think these are tough topics, so they wait, and it's easier to have because the guy can't run or the girl can't run anymore. So, what's your advice to people like once it's all said and done? Even if it's before marriage, what would you say is the best approach to these questions and these hard topics?
Yeah, I would say no matter how difficult the topic is or how uncomfortable it might make you, stick to your commitment of loving the other person, right? And love being an action word, not just an emotion or an emotional state, but really being committed to the legacy, the family, your friendship with the other individual, and being honest and open about whatever's coming up for you during the conversation itself, right? It leads to breakthrough on your end,
Mhm.
which allows for both of you to become an even stronger unit. And I think that's incredibly important, especially within that first year. You're newlyweds. Of course, you're going to be, heads over heels for each other, but definitely taking time for the serious conversations and the conversations that really matter long term for both of you.
Yeah,
Would
I
you?
think I'm sorry, being on the same page and like building. And sometimes even if the conversation's uncomfortable, like it's gonna take some time to build. It's not we're gonna sit down once and have this conversation and we're all good. That's not how things work sometimes. And I think another thing really that is so important to touch up on, which I feel like we learned, is the seasons that you go through, right? There are going to be seasons where you're up, and there's going to be a season where your partner is up, and knowing how to balance that out. because things change, right? Like people lose jobs, people have loss, people have health issues. And I think really being in a place where you're committed to making it work. Because marriage, it is a daily choice, right?
Yeah.
Once you get past the honeymoon phase, every single day you are choosing to be in and to have love for that person, love that person. And I think that's also something that I like encourage other people to think about, especially for those times where they're like, oh my gosh, like this is no longer smooth, like what did I do? Well, you work through it.
Yeah. I think people forget that. I think they forget that there's an opportunity to actually work through it. A lot of people, once the times get tough, they're ready to bail. And I think we have so many like places to escape to. Like we have Facebook, we have Instagram, you'll see people deep in their phone and just be there. You'll literally have two people sitting next to each other just going the whole time and not even talking to one another. And I think that's a big issue. I know that I have my times where I'm just on my phone, I'm checking my social media, I'm checking all that stuff, and I forget that I'm doing that in front of my wife, and it can be rude. Um,
Right.
but just actually taking the time to sit and talk to them and just actually asking, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? Can I help you with anything? Stuff like that. And it kind of ties into a question that just came in actually from Yarlene. Hi, Yarlene. She wants to ask, how can you get your spouse to be more affectionate, especially for men? Because I feel it's the male ego that gets in the way. And I think that's where I was kind of leading, where I was just like, I think egos get in the way, where people just are too proud to ask these questions. So I'll let you guys answer the question that she has.
Sure. I don't know that you can get your spouse to do anything, um, but I think being intentional and having the conversation with them that you would like more affection, and just checking in with them and seeing, well, what's up? This is what I need right now. Communicating those needs, right? And I know Agnes likes to say advocating for yourself, right? But making those advocations for yourself and saying, hey, you know what? I might be lonely in this moment. Is it possible you could take 5 minutes and let's hold hands or let's do something together, and initiate the conversation to where he's more aware, but you might not be aware that he's not being attentive to your needs. And so it's literally just making him aware of it and taking it from there, and
Yeah.
not assuming, and not assuming that there's something else possibly at hand.
Yeah, I think there's so much power in vulnerability. I think that sometimes people assume that we know what they want, right? Or we know, or assume that I know what someone else is thinking about what it is that I need. And I think sometimes really just being vulnerable about your experience and what it is that you need from that person. I think that definitely there's a bond that's created where then it doesn't feel like a have to, but more of like of a I would like to do this for you, or I would like for you to have this experience with me.
I think that's where ego comes in, is where you feel like you have to. I think just being able to put that aside and say, I really, really, really just want my wife or my partner to be happy. Um, I know that I've had this conversation with my wife when we first started. There are things that she needed that I just felt were kind of emasculating in a way, and I was just like, why would I do that for you? But then, while you come to understand relationships and understand that there's boundaries that you have to cross sometimes, and there's just a balance in a relationship that makes you a partner. That's literally the definition of partner, as being an ally to the person you're with. And while that person explains what they need, your job is to make sure that they can get that to the best of your ability. And that's pretty much how I feel on the topic. I feel it's being able to kind of break that barrier that you set between yourself and your partner. So we have some comments just showing love. John, what's up? John is actually all the way in Australia. So thanks for
Oh,
tuning in.
Down under.
thanks for coming,
Thanks
man.
for tuning in, John. That's my guy right there. I call him Big John. He's always showing me love. I really appreciate that, even though he's in the future. Thanks for reaching out to me in the past. And then Javon said, this convo is dope. I'm nodding my head in crazy agreement. I appreciate that, Javon. Javon's a dope dude, man. And Suli's agreeing with you guys. You said yes, never assume. There's that saying, right? Never assume. If you assume, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Right.
I've always loved that saying. So I think another topic that I definitely, well, I was so into the conversation, I just realized we had 20 minutes. So thank you for everyone that stuck around. We have 8 viewers at the moment. That's on those 3 platforms, and we have 2 viewers on IG at the moment. But people have been tuning in and tuning out for what I'm saying. But thanks for tuning in. If you guys have to jump off, I definitely appreciate you guys watching. I think Agnieszka and Anthony, if you guys want to continue talking, we can. I do have a few more questions, and I'll try to wrap it up to give you guys your night back. But I just want to take the time to say I appreciate you guys taking the time to answer people's questions and, just going into what you do.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one topic I definitely wanted to touch on is I think it's a really tough topic, and that's like gender roles. I feel like that's something that's kind of a topic of conversation these days that people are afraid to approach. Now we don't have specifically 2 genders. People are able to just kind of say that they identify with one gender or another, or these new genders that I still don't know all of them. I'm still trying to get comfortable with and trying to understand them, because obviously as a DJ, I'm going to meet couples who fall in that realm, and I want to be able to approach them and talk to them appropriately while not calling them the right pronouns, things like that. Have you guys dealt with anything in regards to gender roles and how that can be a conflict in a marriage, and anything with the new genders or the new atmosphere that we're in has proven itself to be an issue with any of the couples you've worked with?
I think with this topic, times are changing, and I think some people, they still have an old school view of gender roles in a relationship, and things are different. And I think for us personally, what has worked within our relationship is having flexibility around, whether there's something that maybe Anthony's good at doing that I might not be so great at doing, like cooking, right? And so really just being flexible in our relationship, whether or not it's, I'm the person who works 9 to 5 and Anthony takes care of our business. And it really just changes our dynamic in terms of, like work and finances. So I think for us personally, when it comes to gender roles, we've definitely been in this space of like what's wanted and needed and which one of us is going to jump in and take care of it, right? And also being 2 caretakers who are together, who are like taking care of the other in different ways. So I know that that's a little bit different than what you are asking, but I think what I do want to communicate is for those individuals who are in relationships and who are struggling with, well, I've seen things be this way, but this is what I'm comfortable doing. I think that it is okay to create it all as you go. And I think sometimes we're not giving the opportunity to feel like in our relationships, we can really create something. I think sometimes people jump into a relationship and they're like, well, my mom did this, so I'm going to do that. And my dad did this, so I'm going to do that. Versus, hey, does that work for our dynamic?
Sure.
So how are we going to create this in a way where we're able to support each other and we're actually in agreement that what we're creating together is supporting our family?
It's cool that you mentioned that, because I think an approach that I've been taking with my new couple, so if I have a lead or a new couple that comes in interested in booking my services, one of the things I lead with is, and I learned this from another a conference that I went to, where we say, take your typical ideal wedding, take it, ball it up, and throw it in the trash can. I think this can be applied to a marriage as well, where I'm just like, this is what I say to them is, this is your wedding. Most people are like, they have to have a first dance, they have to have a mother-daughter dance, mother-son dance, father-daughter. There's no real have to in your wedding, especially if you're paying for it. Same with the marriage. Like if you're putting in the time, and time is money, right? Like you're putting in time into this marriage, it's your marriage, so there's no right or wrong way of doing things. Just because it's put somewhere on TV or social media, or even what you've seen from your family and friends, doesn't mean it'll apply for you. And I have that conversation with a few friends as well, where it's just like, as a man, it's usually the men too that would say something like, as a man, I don't feel comfortable um, rubbing my wife's feet. Like, I'm just making that up, but
Mhm.
I don't feel comfortable doing that because I'm a man and I shouldn't have to do that. She should be rubbing my feet. I think that comes from like older generations showing us things that weren't okay back then, but now in a more understanding environment, I think it's something that people are struggling with. So thank you for taking time to answer that question, because that definitely is something that comes up a lot. I see a lot on social media, and obviously I'm on social media a lot. I got a question into my inbox, somebody who did not want it to be posted with their name, so I'll share it. How do you convince your partner to better themselves, but they don't want to or are not interested? So I'm assuming one of them is a go-getter, a worker, someone that, works a 9 to 5, maybe has a side hustle too. And then you have that one, the partner who's probably just doing the bare minimum and just meeting the standards, but not doing any better. I think that's how I'm understanding the question. But if you guys understand it different, then feel free to answer it that way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. How do you convince your partner to better themselves, but they don't want to, or they're not interested? I think they need to come to the point where they are interested. Um, and I think being straightforward and saying, hey, what's going on? Right. I think this is what we're looking to build, or having the conversation, if you haven't already, about what you're both looking to build with each other. Um, and saying, well, how do you plan on supporting here? I think just
Yeah.
being incredibly straightforward about it.
I also think, um, saying better, for someone to better themselves, that could be such a loaded thing to say. Are we talking about, career wise? Are we talking about health wise? Is it that your partner might, you feel like they were in shape before and they're now not in shape, and you're struggling with having that conversation with them? Or is it that you see potential in them, and they might be going through something and they're not moving as fast as you would like for them to? So I think that, just trying to like answer this question very generally, because I'm not sure what is the specific situation in this case. I think it's really good to explore what is it that, you see for your partner, and what is it that they see for themselves? Do they need support? We all move at different paces, right? And sometimes what also happens in relationships, people, they have their star player that they show for the 3 months that they're dating, and then there's the other person that comes into place that they like introduce and be comfortable with. So, and this might not even be the situation, but if your partner has made you believe that there's someone else, and all of a sudden you're experiencing them in a different way, and that's not something that you enjoy, or it's not the type of partner you want to be with, then I think that's a whole other question, and situation to pay attention to. But I definitely, um, I think this really is about communication and conversation. Some people
That's
will not
that's,
move as fast as we would like for them to. Some
that's where
people,
my mind went. I think actually what this reminds me of, and I'm gonna sound like a total dweeb by saying this, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen 90 Day Fiance.
yeah.
Um, there's a couple on there that the guy is from South Africa. I don't know their names. I always forget names. The guy's from South Africa. His wife is from Connecticut, and he's basically one of those free spirits who just goes with the flow. One day he'll be a bartender. The next day he'll be a massage therapist. You don't know. And that was one of her issues with him. And she was just trying to make him better and have him. This is what this question reminds me of. Have him like get a real career and stay the course, so that way they can eventually land in a realm where they're both making money consistently, and they can plan their future. She's more of a planner. He's more of a free spirit. Whatever happens, happens type of guy. So I thought that's where my mind went. On the last episode that I saw, they were fighting a lot about it and even contemplating divorce because he was such a free spirit. Oh, there you go. Sully told me. Tanya and Sinjin.
I think the other thing is, in relationship, it is so good to like build a cohesive vision. Because if you know, if you have certain expectations of your partner that they are not aware about, they will likely continue to disappoint you.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
if you don't communicate that. And I also think, you know, we don't all have the same goals. If you haven't had that conversation about what someone's aspirations are, what they are looking to bring to the relationship, and where they're looking to take the relationship, so there's growth, well, then it always will feel like they're not doing enough.
She says it a bit more eloquently than I do. Like straightforward. How are you contributing to the vision?
I think one thing I learned from Suli actually is we created a vision board. We literally just bought one of those big middle school or elementary school poster boards, and we just went through magazines and started cutting things that spoke to us. Like, you know, we wanted to buy a house, so we cut a house out and pasted it. We wanted to go on a vacation, so we somehow found a plane or something and put it on there.
Mhm.
I find that I'm a visual person, so like when I'm at work, I'm that old fashion person that has a notebook that says to do, um, and I do it that way. So that vision board actually helped us, and um, I think that's something that you guys should work on together to answer the question of the person who sent that to my inbox. Just create like Agnieszka said, just put it on create a goal together, like create goals together and make sure that you have a single vision as to where your relationship wants to go. I do find that some people take different roads and they always end up in the same location if they just discuss it first. Obviously, you both have the same end goal, but if yours is kind of to be a free spirit and kind of roam in zigzags while this other person wants to go straight there, you should understand that about that person and you should know that that's just the way that person is. So just being on the same page on that, knowing where you want to go and being able to set that goal and understanding what each person's creative process is like. I know I struggled with that in the beginning because I came from a background where, you know, we're taught something and everyone in that realm is kind of taught the same thing. So when I went to college, I met a lot of different people. I met people that didn't know how to iron a shirt. I met people who, you know, just didn't have any living skills or any social skills, and it was just new to me. Um, so, you know, just being able to understand people as well as your partners is very important in a relationship, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, so I have one last question, and then we'll wrap this up, so I won't keep you guys too long. This also came in my inbox. Oh wait, there's a typo. Let me fix that typo. Sorry, I'm a stickler for that stuff. So the question is, I'll just say it from YouTube. What advice can you give to single people right now? I think we kind of touched on it, but you know, someone who's living through COVID, or I guess they didn't specify, but let's take COVID out the equation. Forget that.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to a single person in 2020?
I think
COVID aside.
this is a great moment to get clarity and to be very clear. What is it that you are looking for? And who are you looking for? And also, who do you need to be to find that person? Um, you know, we're in this space right now where there's like a lot of things are kind of like pushed to the side, so that way we can have like rest, right, or like peace, and really get rid of all of that noise. So I definitely encourage single people in this moment to figure out what they're looking for, who they're looking for, so that way once they're ready to jump back into the dating scene, they have clarity and they're purposeful in how they're moving about versus settling for crumbs, settling for those people who are going to ghost you, who, you know, go through red flags. And you know, definitely if you are a single person, you should definitely jump into one of our courses. I think that, you know, this is like getting clarity and focusing on your needs and your wants and what you're looking to build for the future is exactly what we support people with. So I know we have some things coming up which Anthony is going to share about, but come through.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was going to be my next question, but go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No worries. I just want to say, enjoy the season of singleness right now. It isn't a necessity to be in a relationship. Right? Take this time and figure out who you are. Develop a healthy routine with yourself, right? And as Agnieszka said, get clarity about who you are and what you want. This is the perfect time to do it. right? You can literally travel and work remotely, right? See different spaces, be in different environments. How do these new environments feel for you? What comes alive for you in your spirit, in your heart, in your mind, so that you're better able when you're back in a relationship or getting into whatever that you're getting into, you're more equipped to be more authentically you, right? And be in service or of service to the other person as well as service to the relationship.
That's amazing advice. I actually gave this advice to someone who messaged me. I don't know how I end up sometimes in these situations where people are just telling me about their relationships and what they're going through. Maybe I should get into coaching with you guys. But this person was just like, I just don't know. Like I've tried everything, and I'm just so ready to be in a relationship. And I'm just like, where's this pressure coming from? Where do you feel that you have to jump into a relationship right now? What's the rush? He couldn't answer the question. And I was just like, there you go. That's your answer, is that you're rushing into things and you're trying with people that you probably normally wouldn't have given time of day, because you're just such in a rush you're in love with the idea of being in a relationship that you get surprised when this person is just not into you or not into the relationship conversation. So that was great advice from both of you. I definitely want to take this video and like reference it in the future when I'm talking to anyone. I'm definitely gonna be sending people your way. With that being said, we're hitting the 56-minute mark.
Oh my God.
I want to start wrapping things up so you guys can get back to your night. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast. I do want to. I want to put your website up so people can check it out. Do you guys have any seminars or free seminars or anything that people can kind of dip their toe in the water before signing up? I know that's what a lot of people are scared of, is just not being able to.
No. A lot of people
test
don't
things
know
out.
what to be getting into, right? So our next 6-week masterclass, this will be our third cohort that we're doing. We'll be starting November 1st. In all of October, on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., we'll be having info sessions. And the info sessions are generally 45 minutes to an hour, kind of an introduction to what to expect, kind of background on what we're offering, and a mini workshop included in that. And that's free. And so that will be every Monday in October, leading up to November 1st, which will be our third cohort for our 6-week masterclass.
And that's completely free of charge? No.
The info session is completely free of charge. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna look up, see if I can pull that information so I can put it in the chat. I think I saw you post it actually.
Yeah.
So I want to share that. Well, essentially, what do you guys cover in your masterclass for those who are unfamiliar?
We're looking at attachment style. We're looking at communication styles. We're looking at different levels of intimacy. We're looking at how to. We're looking at soulmates, because a lot of times society is really romanticizing soulmates, and it's like, I saw you from across the room, and our souls have been traveling thousands of miles, and it's not that deep. It really is actually looking at the responsibility of being a mate to someone's soul. We look at being 100-100 versus being 50-50, so that you can come together as one, not necessarily completing each other, but complementing each other. And then we look at relationship design, really building your relationship that you want for yourself from the ground up, right? So that relationships aren't just assumed, but they're designed.
I love that. I love that that theory and that concept of the soulmate, and how romanticized that is, and how people kind of hold that to such a standard that they are willing to jump out of a relationship if they feel like the person that they're with is not their soulmate. So that's definitely interesting, and something that I think people could really like take away and really look into and think a little more deeply. I want to make sure that this is the one. Is it the 8-week curriculum?
It's a 6-week.
6 week.
I'll send you a flyer.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll share it. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna just show some love to people that have been commenting. Suli says this was dope. And she thanks you guys for taking the time. She's just happy. That's my mom. She says yes. I think I saw John comment something from Australia. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's my sister. She says hands up. She's excited. John's just saying to stay safe, look after your health, mental well-being before attempting to look after others. That's definitely some good advice. Don't overwhelm or lose yourself during these testing times.
Yeah, totally
Very
agree.
true.
I don't know who posted this, but does size matter? Is a topic for another time. Depends on the person.
The
But
size of your heart definitely does matter.
I like that. And my sister says she'll be there. When is it? And you did say that. You said November. It'll be in November.
2020.
Okay, so I'll share that information once you guys send it to me. But I wanted to thank you guys again. This was awesome. I was so into this conversation, I just lost track of time. So
Yeah, I have no. We've noticed it's been an hour.
It's been good.
Thank you for having us. This has been really fun, and we definitely we hope to see some of you guys.
yeah, you guys are all welcome to join. I'll share the link as soon as I have it. If I have time, I definitely am interested in joining too. I'm always on the road and stuff like that, but I would say good advice that I've learned along the way is if you want to make things work, then you'll make the time. So this is one of those things. So awesome. Genovia, don't worry. We're gonna post the video later on. You can rewatch it with subtitles even. So thank you for tuning in, even though we're about to wrap it up. But Agnieszka and Anthony, you guys are awesome as ever. Awesome as when I met you. You guys just keep being awesome, and thank you for influencing so many people and being great. And thank you for joining my live. I'm gonna share this video a lot during the week, so don't get annoyed with me. And people may reach out with questions and stuff.
Yay!
Absolutely.
All right, and then those for you tuning in on Instagram and Facebook, thank you so much. I love all you guys, and you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll talk soon. All right, bye, guys.
All right.